Hello and welcome to Social Media Weekly, episode 10th February 2021. Social Media Weekly is brought to you by Virtual Peddlers Marketing, rehumanizing your marketing experience. My name is Sean. This week's news: Twitter considers subscription models. The social media platform is looking for ways to complement their ad-supported monetization model now with some alternatives. They include tipping, paid consumer-facing features like profile customization or an undo send option. Yes, we have been hearing about this undo send or edit later kind of option for Twitter, but at this point they may be providing only to paid subscribers instead of everybody. There also may be paid subscription that works directly with TweetDeck. TweetDeck is a Twitter kind of like a management platform app that was acquired by Twitter. Top that up with their recent purchase and integration with newsletter subscription app Review. Twitter is starting to build an ecosystem of various ways to monetize their services, while also making it valuable for creators and users alike. So they're not putting all their basket in advertisement, because at this point they know that advertisements it's not the only way forward. Looking at how the backlash of the public with Facebook and Google and Apple and whatnot. So they are planning an alternative method, and they also understand that freemium, the free model, the free tier needs to stay, because that's where majority of the users are. And they also believe that users are not ready to put all their to pay for subscriptions. Then at this point a mixed bag of different layers will help both the creators and also the users to use the services within their means without feeling as if they're missing out on major things. So this goes to this area of privacy, right? Like, we've all been fighting for privacy, and the fight for privacy has been going mainstream. The social platforms they are resorting to alternative ways to make money, because social platforms cost a lot to keep running and they need money. And if they are not taking money from our data and selling it off to someone, or using it as an advertisement platform, then they need to find other means of making money. The easiest option out, when you look at it at a very straightforward manner, would actually be to charge a fee. A lot of journalistic sites, publication sites are already closing their gates. They're putting a $3 to $5 per month subscription on the paywall. Of course, there are free ones as well, but the good ones are already starting to apply their paywalls. And when it reaches a point when social media starts to put paywalls up everywhere, right, the question becomes, are we ready to pay for everything we see on the internet? At this point, Apple is actually now spearheading this privacy thing. And for them, it makes sense, because they are selling a product, right? And they are speaking the language we want to hear, which is personal privacy. And it's good for them, because the more privacy we demand, the more we pay and the more money they make. And at the end of the day, we can't just raise a pitchfork and burn whatever at the stake just because it feels like the right thing to do at this point. If we think about it to a deeper layer, if we are not ready to live in a world where we have to pay for every single level of information, then we have to reassess, is our private information, is our data worth that much, right? Are we willing to meet halfway, or not, when it comes to this thing? How much are we willing to go before we need to pay for everything, every level of information? If we cannot answer that properly, and if we continue to push forward for whatever the mainstream forces are aligning us to speak at this point, what is the best buzzword to use, to feel as if you know what you're doing, you're very woke and all that. At the end of the day, we are digging our own graves. I mean, yeah, if you're an American, you're paying $3 a month, that's fine. $3 is chump change. We gotta pay 12 ringgit. That's a lot of money. It's not as if we're making more in terms of per capita income than the Americans. So food for thought. Clubhouse is blocked in China. What's new? The most widely viral social media in the world today just got blocked by China last Monday, according to a report by Channel News Asia. This ban will stack with other US social apps like Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. There is a discussion on Clubhouse's ban on China's local social media, Weibo, but those topics were also deleted, perhaps by the government. If you're honest, we actually saw this coming, right? I mean, Clubhouse cannot last in China for long. It is still in beta, only available in iOS today. At this point, a lot of things are still very sketchy. Not sketchy in the sense that it's bad, but they're actually still trying to build the platform into what it is, the mainstream. It's still very MVP layer. It's impossible for China to allow a social media platform like Clubhouse to be used there. They join a group of social media platforms that are already being banned, like Facebook, Twitter, even Google is not allowed there. Welcome to the club, Clubhouse. In the meantime, Clubhouse risks becoming another Snapchat. This is what I think, right? Meanwhile, I love that Clubhouse is growing very fast. I've been in Clubhouse since the end of January. And in the past 2 weeks, it has grown by leaps and bounds. It is still by invite only, and it's still only available to iOS users. But even so, it is growing a lot, and there are a lot more new topics, a lot more new rooms being created that are very Malaysian-centric or Asian-centric, or they have good topics, quite interesting stuff. At that point, right, I still think that Clubhouse needs to move a lot faster to prevent it from being another Snapchat. Its features are nice to have. They are really fun. It's a very good idea, but it isn't by any means difficult to copy, right? Snapchat used to be that social media platform. And then what happened? Instagram happened. Facebook copied the entire thing from Snapchat and took the limelight away from Snapchat. And Snapchat is by no means doing badly. I mean, it's doing well for itself, but it's a niche. It's not a mainstream. It was set to become the mainstream platform, kind of like what TikTok is, but it couldn't because it didn't move fast enough and it didn't anticipate the reaction from Facebook. And Clubhouse is risking becoming like them. I believe Facebook is already building a similar platform. I mean, it's not difficult. It's essentially a live room, and it's an easier live room because it's a live audio room instead of a video room. All you need to do is set three access levels: public, private, and closed, and then you're done. They can roll it out faster to more users, including Android, a lot faster than Clubhouse because they already have billions of users, active daily users at this point on all their platforms. And yes, perhaps some users will stick to Clubhouse for privacy issues, but the majority will go where their friends are, like what WhatsApp is going through, right? Two months ago, we were talking about moving away from WhatsApp because we hate the privacy, all that kind of stuff, and the lack of privacy and everything. Look at where we are now. We're still in WhatsApp. There's nothing we can do because why? Everybody else, it's not elsewhere. No one is in Signal. No one is in Telegram. We have those chat apps in our phone, but nobody is making the move away from WhatsApp into those more secure chat rooms. Not because it's inconvenient, but because we complain about the privacy issues, but it's not severe enough that we want to take an inconvenient initial one step to change how we do things. So this is what I think. Clubhouse needs to move a lot faster before Facebook rakes it up and takes up all its limelight. Instagram testing vertical stories. Instagram has confirmed it is testing out a new layout that will allow us to swipe through stories upwards, like how Snapchat and TikTok will work now. So the difference is that now stories is still in the bubbles and we still need to click on it and then we swipe horizontally, sideways. But now they're planning to actually make it swipe upwards. There isn't a lot of visual take explanation onto this, but this is how I think they may work. Two options, right? The first one will be to replace the news feed. I think they're called posts. Yeah, posts in the form of Instagram. In Facebook, it's called newsfeed. But yeah, they will replace posts, the screen real estate of your actual Instagram proper, the main screen, with stories. So they'll take away more posts and they'll put more stories in there, or they'll probably completely remove it. This makes sense because stories are have been getting a lot more engagement than posts anyway. And it will cause users to prioritize video content over images, as video works better on story / reels / IGTV. These three formats are considered vertical videos. This also means that we will need to change how we create content. Well, we do post a lot of images on stories, but if Instagram hopes to focus on reels and IGTV, then we need to start creating more videos as well in order to get more engagement and continue to engage with people. Or number 2, they will create a tab especially for stories only. So there's this little button you click in, you go into all the stories, you'll be vertically, then you scroll up and up and up and up and up, you see everything. This will be a bit of a challenge because Instagram already has their hands full with all the tabs populated around the screen right now. They recently just included the shop tab on the lower right side, and they pushed the engagements up to the top right side, which is harder to reach compared to the bottom bar. The bottom bar is like prime real estate, right? And the bottom bar right side is more prime real estate because there are more right-handers than left-handers, and the right 2 buttons are the ones that are the most prime real estate. And if they want to create one more tab, I don't know where else they're going to put it. Probably going to redesign the entire layout of Instagram, but I don't think they're ready to do that. I think the layout is already optimized. So I expect they will do the first one. I think though, there is a larger issue with Instagram that they need to address before looking at all these things. They need to figure out what kind of video format they want to focus on. Right now, they have IGTV, which is the long form vertical video, supposedly vertical video, which was supposed to compete with YouTube. Clearly isn't doing very well. Then there's the Reels, which is supposed to compete with TikTok. I think, well, in terms of Reels, it's too early to tell because they're only available in a few countries, not a lot of parts of the world. So that is we don't get to test it, but assuming Reels is something like TikTok, then yeah. And I think they should have actually emulated the Snapchat's integration of their snaps with music rather than building a new flank. Reels is essentially a flank product, right? Because they rebranded it something else, Reels by Instagram or Reels by Facebook or something like that. But in case of Snapchat, what they did was they put it within snaps. You just have an additional control, like from Instagram, you have the boomerang and everything, right? There is one part that you can create with video, with music, and that's it. It's essentially still stories, but the only difference is it's got music in there. So it's completely embedded in, instead of it being split into a completely different layer. Because when you split it up so much, you fragment everything. And vertical videos, there are 3 vertical videos within Instagram, and Instagram cannot focus on anything because the best performing one they have is stories. Then I assume the second best is Reels, and I assume the third best is IGTV. And they have no idea what to do with all 3 of them. They cannot put them together because they already branded them differently. If they were to put it together, then where would they put it in terms of all the layouts? They also want to do shopping as well. Instagram is essentially becoming like Facebook, a little bit of everything. It's trying to be everything for everyone, but it shouldn't be, because Instagram was best when it can only do 1 or 2 things, properly. This is, in my opinion, a downhill for Instagram, but yeah, who am I to judge, right? In any case, I think they should address this before they figure out what to do with vertical stories. EU, as in the European Union, may also make Facebook and Google pay for news. A couple of weeks ago, we reported that Australia may lose Google access due to a regulation that requires the search engine pay publications for showing their sites on search results. It's a bit different from what the rest of the world is doing with these social platforms, right? So let me explain. All major social platforms that compile and share news sites to users are working hard to set up a compensation method for publishers. So let's say there's Google News, there's Twitter, and Facebook has its Facebook News as well. So what they do is when they compile all these news and people read them, these social media sites actually pay the publishers a certain fee. They pay the middleman, which the middleman will pay the publishers a certain fee for usage of their content. The Australians are asking more, right? They want Google to pay for showing publishers' websites on search results, whether or not people click on those search results to read the article. So as long as, say, if I search for a keyword on Google, and if the search results pop up that article, the name of the link to that article, whether or not it is what I want, and whether or not I click in to read, Google has to pay that publication. This is bad because it opens up a new kind of worms on publishers who would create clickbait content for no reason just to make money, and now Google and Facebook has to pay for this. So as a result, Google threatened to leave Australia. Now the EU is taking that as a precedent to apply a similar law against Google and Facebook. If this happens, it'll be a massive blow to social media giants. We will see other countries and regions following suit, because if it gets through to either Australia or the EU, every other country will also want to do the same thing. It will force Google and Facebook to change how they serve search results and maybe create a proprietary level, or perhaps even create a media company where they would serve the ads internally instead of get it from the outside. So I believe that there has to be a middle ground that must be struck at this point, because the publications want to make money. Yeah, that's fine, right? Google and Facebook wants to make money as well. I mean, you can say that they've made a lot of money, but at the point they are a business, and as a business they want to continue to be profitable for their shareholders. And the middle point here is that if the publications and the governments push too far, right, the social media companies might create an entire proprietary ecosystem within themselves and put them out of the loop completely. They won't get a single cent out of this. They can afford to do it, and they will do it if they are pushed to the corner, right? The best way is to be able to make it a win-win situation where everybody benefits from this, and nobody benefits 100%. It's a 50-50, it's a 30% all the way through. It's better than nothing, but it is a point where you don't push someone to the point where they would create their own ecosystem and just cut you out of this. They can do this. Well, we'll have to see how it goes. So that's all for Social Media Weekly this week. Social Media Weekly podcast is available on Anchor FM, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and more. A full video is available on YouTube, and we post bits and clips on Instagram and Facebook. This is Social Media Weekly, episode 10th February 2021. This will be the last episode before Chinese New Year. Happy Chinese New Year, everyone, and happy holidays to everybody else. Please stay safe. Don't go out if you don't have to. And if it were up to me, I would stay away from my family because I don't want to risk passing anything to them or them passing anything to us. We can live without one Chinese New Year, right? See you next week, guys and girls. Bye.